Good morning or good afternoon to you all, and thank you for joining us on today's webinar. My name is Stephen Friend from Kilimanjaro Consulting, and we're excited to have you join us today, as well as Phil and Carl from ProSpend. Kilimanjaro has been working with ProSpend, previously known as Expense Manager, for about 7 years now. It's been exciting for us to see the evolution from purely being a expense management platform to really covering that whole procure to pay cycle. Today we've got Carl, who's going to talk to us a little bit more about spend management as a platform, what that means, and how awareness around spend management can help you as an organisation. And we're going to be handing in to Philip to give us a demonstration of the platform and dive a little bit deeper into those issues that affect all of us around the management of our spend. Please use that Q&A button if you have any questions. And without any further ado, I'm going to hand over to Carl.
Thank you, Stephen, and also Kilimanjaro for the opportunity to present today. In this short presentation, I would like to focus on an introduction to spend management and discuss where we're currently at, what does good spend management look like, and with some best-in-class examples. I'll also touch upon the consequences of not following best practice and how we at ProSpend help our customers with our platform. So here are some facts and figures from independent research published by Ardent Partners, which they see as the biggest hurdles affecting processing biz spend for 2023. I find these findings are well documented and consistent with other research papers. The theme focuses on the inefficiencies caused by manual processes, which causes unnecessary administration or bureaucracy and can lead to data errors. Also, without capturing and processing data through automation can often involve manual correction of data and provide unnecessary delays for it within the approval process, which can cause late payment, resulting in friction with your suppliers. So what does good business spend look like? So in life, you can solve most problems with a maths formula, and this formula, I think, highlights that good business spend management is a combination of policies and procedures supported by software. So having good policies on how to conduct business spend, supported with procedures on who are the people responsible for the authority, and then working out how the approval workflows need to be, is structured in step 1. Step 2 in this case is the technology, which is ProSpend, providing the governance and controls to the workflows by which an organization is controlled and operates, and the mechanisms by which it and its people are held to account. So what does good business spend look like? So here are some examples of how automation supported by good internal policies and procedures can make your teams more efficient by working smarter and not harder. As you can see, there are significant time gainings to be made by having data structured and automating. Again, the Ardent research paper is further examples of what best in class looks like. So what is good business spend governance? So to help with becoming better with business spend governance, you firstly need to establish clear and concise spend management policies that outline the rules and guidelines for your employees. These policies should cover all aspects of spend management, including procurement, expense reimbursement, and travel expenses. Using automation along hand in hand with prescribed policies allows you to capture data and move the data quickly to the correct people to streamline the spend management process. This includes automating invoice processing, approval, expense reporting, and payment processing. Clearly define the roles and responsibilities of employees involved in the spend management process and establish clear levels of authority for approving expenses and purchasing decisions. Implementing a streamlined and efficient approval process that ensures expenses are reviewed and approved in a timely manner with full audit tracking. This includes setting clear approval thresholds, establishing approval workflows based on rules and training to employees on the approval process. Also develop a comprehensive budgeting process that aligns with the company's strategic goals and objectives. This includes developing a budgeting framework, establishing budgeting guidelines, and monitoring actual spend against budget with full visibility to all those involved. Again, automation can clearly identify when budgets have been exceeded and automatically reject spend requests. Also ensure that staff payments, including reimbursements and supplier payments, are processed in a timely manner. This includes setting clear payment terms, monitoring payment processing times, and ensuring that payments are made with the agreed timeframes. So, how does digitization benefit businesses? So, as a result of implementing best practices, I found these results of gains to a business from independent research. As you can see, some of these improvements obviously complement each other. So, reducing fraud will also improve your working capital and reduce your costs. Again, I want to share with you a number of research articles on how we can improve business spend. And from this, my key takeouts are the positive impact that automation has hand in hand with policies and budgetary control plays a big part in helping a business with improving their business spend. I'm going to be sharing these links to those articles with the team at KC. All of those which are available on the public domain will be sent out to you guys after today's webinar. So let me return back to my favorite report from Ardent Partners. This is the first key takeaway I want to share with you on what we're seeing, that business spend is gaining strategic value within organizations. And as you can see, it's increased over 30% in the past 4 years. So my gut feeling to why we're seeing this in businesses is that businesses are starting to mature on their understanding and development of how they work with cloud technologies. To digitize those manual tasks to allow them to make those incremental improvements to business performance. My second gut feeling is that finance leaders are now more empowered to be innovative and take a more active role in the IT used within the business, more so than, say, 5 years ago. My next key takeaway from that report is also the 5 main improvements businesses will make in business spend. Again, these themes complement each other, with the digitization and automation assisting with improving collaboration and creating an innovation culture within the business. And as I said earlier, finance leaders are now being tasked to be more innovative and responsible for IT decisions. Final key takeaway from the Ardent report is the new skills needed to remain relevant in AP. As you can see, these skills are mostly a mixture of soft skills and analytical skills, removing the mundane data entry skills, which add little value to the business. So we're not looking to replace people, we're looking to give them back time to provide more value-add responsibilities to improve the business. So I just want to go through some consequences of not following best practice. So let's take a look at some of those. Again, a lot of this is supported by independent research. So obviously, if you're going to live with the status quo, my key takeaways from these research papers that I found are number 4, which can equate to 20% of a working week being lost or being reclaimed to do more value-add tasks. And also number 5, the reporting you do as a business is only as good as the data you have collected. So this is why digitization and automation are vital in improving business spend management. So having that clarity of data and having that data immediately at your fingertips. So the benefits of using ProSpend as a business spend management platform. So how do we at ProSpend help businesses? So we provide a complete solution for both accounts payable and expenses, allowing you to automate the collection and coding of data backed by our platform features that allow you to monitor budgets, approve data in a timely manner, highlight potential fraud, and it's all backed with your internal SSO security controls. So we have a number of customer success stories I wanted to share with you, but I only picked one of them for today's webinar. But the reason why I picked this one is it does relate to a lot of themes we have discussed by creating efficiencies through less time needed to code and reconcile data through digitization and automation. And as a not-for-profit organization, they are audited every year, and a critical need was the ability to track who spent what. And this is where ProSpend came in and helped this organization on the screen. ProSpend has an audit trail so that every expense has a history of the creation, changes, and approvals. So now I would like to hand over to my colleague Phil for a brief demonstration of the software.
Perfect. Thanks for that, Carl, and thanks to the team at Kilimanjaro for having us on the line this morning as well. As Carl mentioned, my name is Phil from ProSpend. I'll be taking you through a high-level demo of the platform this morning. Within the ProSpend system, there's a range of products and modules on offer. Firstly, expense management, and that's really what I'll be covering off on the webinar this morning. Okay, so it covers things such as staff with out-of-pocket expenses, company credit cards, and mileage. On the flip side, though, we do have a range of other products. So we also do accounts payable automation, purchase orders, budgets, travel, and virtual cards as well. There's a whole range of products and modules on offer, but for the sake of the demo this morning, we'll purely be covering off expense management. For the demo as well, I'll be running it through on 2 screens. So you'll see my large screen at the back here is our desktop site. The smaller window you'll see here in front is essentially the mobile app, and that's really where the demonstration will start from. So what we'll jump in first as Kylie. This would be an end user, so someone out and about incurring either out-of-pocket expenses or company credit card transactions. So we'll just jump straight in as Kylie on the app on the phone. This would be the employee's home screen on the app. So by default, they'll be presented with any receipts they've captured, haven't actually coded or pushed through for approval just yet. So best practice when it comes to staff out-of-pocket expenses or credit cards is to really capture those receipts as they incur the expenses. Prior to a lot of our clients rolling out ProSpend, their staff while they're traveling might just hold onto their receipts, put them in their wallets, stuff them into a folder. All the receipts get lost. When it comes to reconciling a month's time, they're not even too sure what they relate to. So certainly best practice is to enable your workforce, with tools such as ProSpend, to capture these transactions as they're incurred. So from here, I'll just tap on that plus icon. We'll actually add in a receipt here as well this morning. So we'll start from the very beginning. I'll tap on that plus icon. This is the only step that's different. So because I'm working from my desktop for the webinar today, it's just going to ask me to upload an image. Obviously, though, for a user on their phone, it'll literally be asking them to take a photo of the receipt. But that's the only step that's different here. From here, you can totally customize the platform. So it's really up to you guys how simple or complex you want this to be in terms of collecting material and data from the employees. Our system will scan and extract quite a lot of information from the receipt. So we'll scan information like the dollar value, the amount of GST, date, and the supplier's details automatically as a part of that OCR process. But if I scroll down, I've also been asked to do some coding, so coming through from the chart of accounts. Every user will have a default entity and cost center preset to their profile. So you can see here, Kylie, she sits in the entity gym construction and the cost center finance. For any staff on the line or anyone on the line on MYB Advanced, this is essentially the branch and sub account from MYB Advanced. And all I need to do is tag an expense type. So I could code that straight through to the GL account parking, and behind the scenes sits a GL code that will post through into MYB. If you're also running projects, we can also tag these straight through to a project or task. And I've just been asked for a quick description here as well. So I'm just going to say that was parking for a client meeting. And that's all the user needs to do. From here, they've now got 2 options available. I could choose to add that to a claim, and they would do that if it was out of pocket. So if they've spent their own money, they're claiming it back from the business, they can add that straight into a claim. But if this money was spent on a company-issued credit card, I would simply save that to my vault. From here, that receipt's now been uploaded, it's scanning. The system would then scan and populate any of that information we didn't enter earlier. So the dates, the amounts, GST and the supplier's details. But from here, the user or the card holder could just close the app and go on the rest of their day. So they don't need to keep that open for that scan to take place. I just want to add in a second receipt. So we'll go through an out-of-pocket expense here as well. Again, same process, taking a photo or uploading that receipt at this point. Again, I could leave that blank, have the system scan the information for me, but I'm just going to enter that in at this point. Again, tagging it through to an expense type, so I'll tag it through to the expense type petrol. Again, tagging it to a project code if it relates, and I've just been asked for a quick description as well. I'll just say it's fuel for a company car. From here, I'm actually going to treat this one here as out of pocket. So if I put my own money, claiming it back from the business, if the employee has an existing reimbursement claim already running, which in this case I do, I could just add that straight in to our claim, build up that out-of-pocket claim with all of our receipts throughout the week, the fortnight, the month, to align with your internal payment policy. So you can see I've got 3 receipts there. From here, I can now push that straight through the approval workflow. In terms of approvals as well, that's really up to you how simple or complex you want that to be configured to align with your delegation of authority. On my demo site this morning, I've got a very flat and simple workflow running. I've simply said any claims submitted by Kylie get checked by her line manager, John Red, before being checked by the finance team, but it can be much more complex than that as well. So obviously best practice is to automate your delegation of authority and your workflow through the platform. So you could build a rule based on the way the transactions are coded. So you might say any lines for finance get approved by the finance team, any lines for marketing are approved by marketing. It could be based on the dollar value of the claim as well. So you might say if a reimbursement claim is less than $1,000, that's approved by their manager. Between 1 and 5 needs 2 people for sign off, over 5,000 goes to a director. So you can build those rules and workflows in the system so it's completely automated for the employees. But from here, if we're happy with that, I'm just going to push that straight through. That manager would then get a notification straight away to then sign in and review and approve that out-of-pocket claim. I just want to jump onto the desktop side as well, just to take you through both platforms, but staff aren't restricted in any way. So if you've got staff who are out of the office more often than not, they could work entirely from the app on their phone or jump onto their desktop and vice versa. So no limitation between the two. If I just jump in here as Kylie, that same user on the desktop. So if I just sign back in here as a user, straight away, this is their home screen. So by default, any claims that have been created haven't yet been coded or pushed through the approval workflow. I can see this is Kylie's home screen. So by default, it's any claims that are currently pending her review. You'll see I've got a credit card up the top, along with a number of purchase orders and tax invoices below, which we'll talk about in a moment. But from here, as a user, I can click straight through on that corporate card. I've got a quick summary of that card statement there on the right-hand side. So we receive a direct feed for any of the corporate cards that may be in use. So regardless if you've got Amex, Visa, or MasterCards, no matter which bank you're with, we can receive a data feed directly if they're corporate cards. On the right-hand side, I've got a quick summary of that user's card statement. So each individual transaction, the date, the way each line's been coded, all the amounts in GST. We'll also flag if we found a matching receipt for that transaction here as well. So that receipt on the left-hand side, that's being matched to the transaction on the right automatically because the amount that we've scanned from that receipt has matched the transaction that came through from Amex in my example here. You will see as well, I've got a couple of lines here showing in red, and that means there's information the company had flagged as mandatory, which has to be completed before that can be pushed through. So from here, if I clicked on the transaction, again, corresponding receipt with the details on the right. In this case, though, the project code and trip details are both mandatory. That has to be completed before they can push it through. So again, best practices for the user to reconcile and code these transactions as they go along. For a lot of our clients before rolling out a system like ProSpend, they might send the statement out to the user once a month, and then they've got to try and remember or work out what that transaction related to 4 weeks ago. So again, just completing the required information, jumping to the next transaction that needs our attention. I did mention earlier, you can really customize how simple or complex you want the system to be configured. So you can trigger additional or custom fields to be collected based on the expense type selected. So if I was to code this transaction to entertainment or anything that's FBT related, you'll see straight away on the right-hand side, I've now been asked the recipients. So who else was actually at that event? Kylie's been entered in here automatically as an employee. Obviously, she was at that event if that's transactions on her corporate card, but I can now add additional recipients here as well. So I can go ahead and add an additional recipient. I might say I had an employee with me from the office. I also had a client. Add in as many clients, as many recipients or employees here as we like. The system will then split that automatically. So we would then split the amount. So in this case here, $143.98. 2 parts to employee, non-traveling FBT GL account, 1 part to the client GL account automatically as a part of that handoff. Again, I've just been asked for a project code and a quick description. I'll just say it's lunch with TNA. From here though, that's actually the last transaction on that corporate card. So from here, all those lines have now turned blue. They're no longer in red. And from here, that user can go ahead and push that straight through for approval. So from here, we'll push that one across. That will now go straight through to my manager, John Red, ready for him to sign in and review and approve that user's card statement. I'm just going to now sign in as an approver. So I'm now going to sign in as that manager, John Red. Just for the sake of time for the demo this morning, I'm just going to jump onto the desktop for the approval workflow. But again, they've got the exact same functionality on the desktop and the mobile. Straight away, I can see here's my home screen. Here are those 2 claims I've been working on this morning, the reimbursement claim and the card statement. I can see the user they've come through from and the values. From here as a manager, I can now click straight through on that credit card or reimbursement claim, work through those transactions, checking them off, making sure we're happy. If we're not happy with a transaction for any reason, we could always reject that back to the employee with our notes, ready for them to sign in, make some changes, or simply comment back and resubmit. Or from here, if we're happy with that, I could just approve that straight from here. That would then go through to the next approver. If you had a multi-level approval workflow set up on your site, or from here, I'm the last or the only approver in that workflow. So that would now go straight through to the accounts department to do a final check before posting into MYB. Same work for the reimbursement claim. We can click straight through. Here are those 2 out-of-pocket transactions we had on that claim earlier. Checking them off again, similar process to a corporate card, disputing or rejecting any lines we're not happy with or approving that from here. So we'll approve both of those claims. I'm just going to switch over to the accounts portal now. So jumping in here is Jackie from the finance team. Straight away, this is the accounts payable home screen or the finance home screen. So by default, you'll be presented with any claims that have been reconciled and approved by the managers, haven't yet been checked by the accounts department or sent across into MYB. From here, I can see here are those 2 claims I've been working on today, the corporate card and the reimbursement claim, the user they've come through from, the values, how they've been coded, along with who approved that and the dates and times they were checked as well. From here, as accounts, you do have the option to click through on any claim type, checking the transactions, making sure you're happy. The big difference here, though, is that as accounts, you do have the option to make changes to a claim directly. So if you see a transactions come through, but that was coded incorrectly, the wrong expense type or GL account was selected, they've claimed GST where they shouldn't have, you can make any of these changes directly to the claim yourself, but any changes that are made are all shown in the audit history. So you can see exactly who's made what changes, the dates and times, any of those changes are made here as well. Likewise, if you're not happy with the transaction, but you don't want to make a change directly yourself, you do have the option to reject or dispute that, either to the employee or to their manager, ready for them to sign in, make some changes and resubmit. Or from here, if we're happy with those, they all look correct and good to go, we could simply finalize those straight from here. Once I finalize those claims, they're then locked down in ProSpend, no more changes can be made, and they're then transferred across into MYB Advanced automatically. So for the demonstration today, I'm just going to do a handover to MYB Advanced. We do have a full integration to MYB EXO as well, but just for the sake of time, I'm just going to be going through Advanced. But if you'd like to see the EXO integration as well, feel free to reach out after the demo to your account manager, and we can schedule in a one-on-one demo from there. But from here, with those claims, we'll simply finalize them straight from here. Again, they're then locked in ProSpend, no more changes can be made, and they're then ready to be sent across into MYB Advanced. We connect to MYB Advanced as well with the full 2-way API. So all the data within ProSpend is sent directly across into MYB Advanced. So here's that corporate card I was working on this morning. I can see it's been sent into MYB Advanced successfully. One click on that link will take me directly into Advanced. Straight away, I can see that credit cards created a GL journal across an MYB Advanced. All the details that we captured back in ProSpend will come through here as well. So here's that exact card statement. I've just sent it across into MYB Advanced Live. Straight away, I can see here are all the individual transactions of that corporate card. The branch, sub-account, GL account selected back in ProSpend, all the amounts in GST, the user's description, a hyperlink back into ProSpend, along with any projects or tasks selected. The benefit of this hyperlink is that if you're looking at this credit card statement in MYB Advance and you want to see the receipt, the full details, who approved it and when, it's a one click on that link will take you straight back to the relevant transaction in ProSpend. We do also attach the actual receipt or invoice across in MYB Advanced as well. Out-of-pocket expenses go through into MYB Advanced as well. They just go through to a slightly different area. And for most of our clients, the way they actually pay the out-of-pocket claims is a user is set up as a vendor in MYB Advanced. So you can see Kyle was set up as a supplier in MYB. We've then created a new AP invoice or bill in her profile with, again, the 3 transactions from our system, all the details ready to be released and paid as you would any other supplier. So that's a quick summary or a quick high-level demo of the expense module in the platform in a nutshell. But look, what I might do from here, I might pass back over to Carl. I think we might just run through the questions from the session. So feel free, if there are any other questions, feel free to send them through in the Q&A window. We'll go through those in a moment. So back to you, Carl.
So the questions we have is, we work across ANZ. Can ProSpend manage multiple currencies in the one place, including exchange rates?
Absolutely. So look, obviously the majority of our clients are obviously based in Australia and New Zealand, but we've got clients globally who use the platform, in all countries around the world. So absolutely, if you've got staff across ANZ, the platform does work globally. All the exchange rates, foreign currency comes through the platform as well. For out-of-pocket expenses, staff can convert the claim in ProSpend directly, or if we're talking about a corporate card, the corporate card will obviously do the conversion, and that comes through as a part of the data feed we receive.
Perfect. And somebody asked a question, does ProSpend integrate with Excel? And the answer to that is yes. How long does it take to get ProSpend up and running in your experience, Phil?
Look, it really depends on what modules you're taking on, the size of the business and your volumes as well. But to give you an idea, for a client taking on the expense and invoice module, if it's fairly straightforward, could be up and running within about 4 to 6 weeks. Again, that's a sort of a high level estimate, like without knowing what modules you're talking about or volumes, but to give you an idea, I think that's probably a safe bet.
And we had a final question in regards to SSO. The question is there two-factor authentication?
There is. So in terms of single sign-on, so 2 parts of the question. So with single sign-on, we integrate with Azure, G Suite for Business, Okta as well. If you have 2FA enabled through single sign-on, that will also reflect in our system. If you're using our virtual cards module, it does enforce 2FA as well. So that would become mandatory if you take on the virtual cards.
Would like to thank you again for participating in the webinar today, but obviously your Kilimanjaro Consulting Account Manager can take those questions, and we'll relay them to us here at ProSpend, and we'll be happy to answer back. Likewise, if you want to learn more about ProSpend and how ProSpend can help your business, again, contact your Kilimanjaro Consulting Account Manager, and they'll arrange for us to get in contact with you at a time that's appropriate.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Carl, and thanks for team at Kilimanjaro for having us on the line this morning as well. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you.